Hello everyone, today I want to talk about one of the biggest issues in consulting that they don't really tell you until you experience it yourself. Not everyone experiences this, honestly. It depends on your firm, your team, the way that the market is doing. I think a lot of times consulting is about luck with the right projects that you have, the right activities that you're doing. And no matter how much you're being a pioneer in what you're trying to do, sometimes you're just stuck. And here I want to talk about my personal experience. So this was actually in 2021, and at this point I've been at Accenture for about 3 years, and I've done a lot of Workday financial software implementations. So I've done a lot of projects where I led work streams, supported work streams, but this was the first time where I did something called AMS support, which is post-production support like 2-3 years after they've already gone live in the software that you're trying to support. These are typically incidences that they get, like bugs or issues that come up, or enhancements where they're short implementations. And the one I particularly had was with a health insurance company. It's not for everyone. It is great for people who want a very solid work-life balance, that you could do whatever you want outside of that, because it's not going to be like turbulent like a typical project would be on like a lot of work and then all very little work. It's going to be pretty consistent because you have a number of tickets you have to do, a number of hours you have to do a week. When it came to this project, the issue is that sometimes not all work are treated equally. And this is what I want to say, because I know a lot of people fall into this issue, and sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's really just like there's really nothing out there for you, no matter how much you tried. I've done a lot of training, I've done a lot of networking, I try to reach out to people, and in general, I was just kind of stuck on this project. There was no other thing I could do. I was actually 50% on this project, so I couldn't even find another project that was 50% to cover that vacancy of like the extra 20 hours that I had in the day. And the most part, I did work 30, maybe 40 hours at a certain point on this project, just because I had time to. So that's what I really wanted to say, is that you don't always have the best luck with the projects based off of how the market's doing, and especially if you're in a very niched area. Workday Financials has become a little bit bigger, but when it comes to particular projects out there, the types of projects out there are pretty limited. Maybe even the types of industries are pretty limited in those types of areas, depending on how Workday as a company is doing for those particular products, or based off of your consulting firms, like what exactly they're doing well in, what are the issues, are a bunch of projects being pushed, are they trying to turn away work because the clients can't afford us, like that kind of thing. It really is sometimes dependent on your leadership, but sometimes it's just not really up to them. It really is up to like the market or what Workday has to say. So a lot of times we do have some say to Workday, but at the end of the day, it is like whatever the client wants, and we may not catch up to the demand, or sometimes we do. So Workday HCM has done really well. Workday Financials, it's kind of there. It's getting there. Not a lot of people really want Workday Financials. It's not like the hottest technology out there. So sometimes you may want to think about like, okay, what is a backup plan if this ended up not working out? So for me, I was stuck on the support, and one of a big reason why I left Accenture is because that the type of work that I had on this project didn't show or support the next level work. So at this point, I was a level 10, a senior analyst at Accenture, and this was where I was supposed to show like taking initiative or doing a lot of extra work or leading. And I honestly did a lot of that, but because of how siloed the project is, management was barely involved. They kind of saw the reports, but they don't know exactly what goes on the day-to-day with every consultant. That was a big issue for me, because how are they going to see what exactly I'm doing to be able to say that you're ready for the next level? And a lot of times I did a lot of small ones, like adding a column to report. That's nothing to be writing home to, nothing to be promoted to either. But there's also a lot of like bigger, very important small implementations that I did for features that they wanted to do that had very difficult times to work with. Like maybe the client was very difficult, or maybe that they were trying to go for X, Y, and Z features and then they didn't get it, but then we had to make it happen, or maybe we were fixing something, like a lot of types of issues where like maybe it's a time sensitive thing, or maybe it's something that like they really needed to be able to get this thing on time. So there were a lot of types of enhancements like that I ended up doing, but it didn't get captured anywhere because it wasn't really reflected from management, which is the one that's actually sometimes they go to the client and get like client account feedback or input. And then there's also like the management side where they talk about like, here is, do we recommend you for a promotion or not? And honestly, sometimes the type of work that you're doing may not show that, or maybe it's just so siloed that they don't see it. So I did make a video on like how to get promoted over here. And it really is like, that's how you're supposed to do it, is really managing up. Do things that have a lot of visibility. But this is the issue you may come across. I won't say everyone would get this, but has come across to me, my 5th to 6th project down the line, that I had absolutely nowhere to go. No projects. I tried to work with management. This was kind of an action area that I wasn't even supposed to be in, but because of just no projects available for my particular skill set, for my particular availability, for my particular area pay grade, because like if you're management, like they're gonna look for managers, they're not gonna look for analysts. All of that has to align for you to be on that project. And when there's a limited number of projects out there, sometimes you kind of just have to get stuck to wherever you're going to make the best value, and not the value where you can show yourself that next level work. Sometimes you get stuck on something like AMS support. I wouldn't say AMS support is bad. A lot of people who are on AMS support really enjoy it. For me, I was put on there like against my will, actually, because it didn't really show the kind of work that I wanted to show to get promoted. And for that reason, I didn't get promoted in the next round. We noticed that we didn't get an approval, a recommendation to get promoted. And I honestly was really annoyed because the work I did was, some of it was really hard. Some of it was very difficult. In some cases, even more difficult than an implementation. But at the same time, like, it's hard because you're just put into numbers. You're put into a lot of like, okay, that's it. It's like a tiny little implementation because you have like 50,000 tickets out there and you're just doing that one ticket. Sure, that ticket is very important, but when they look at the reports, when they talk to people, like that is like the last thing they want. Usually it's the client that's dictating the kind of work that you should be doing, because they're the ones that see like, okay, we need this. This is the kind of AMS support. I'm not an implementer, I'm a support. So that's like the type of work that I had in technology consulting. One of the biggest issues is honestly if you're in a support kind of role. And I know a lot of people have stuck in something like this too. Like at Accenture, we had previously the call center. And this is something that started for a lot of people who started in the pandemic because there just wasn't a lot of projects out there at that time. There were a lot of projects, honestly, but at that time for your particular skill set, because you haven't had time to train or upskill or network, they're gonna put you right into call center because that's where they have the biggest need for people. Call center sometimes could be hard to get out because they're like, we need you, like we X, Y, and Z reason, or that you only need to do this for like 6 months or so. For me, they extended my time. So it was like as if they extended my time on the call center. So something like that. I know a lot of people, I'm so sorry. You guys watch my videos about how I talked about Accenture, how I talked about technology consulting, how it's amazing, and then all of a sudden you join in and you get call center. I felt really bad, and honestly, it's all about luck. It's all about your circumstance at that time. Sometimes you just have to deal with it or leave, and that's actually one of the things that I did. I left after I left that project, and I was able to do like 1 to 2 months of showing off that cool new skill set of showing the next level, but in the end, the Google offer came first, so I was like, okay. But at the end of the day, honestly, it would have just, if I had the right projects, it would have just extended the time I was going to be at Workday Financials. I would have still been looking out. But at that point, this was like the whole turning point of I didn't get promoted for X, Y, and Z reasons. And then I drew back from like all the consequences, all the situations that came because of that. And I knew like, okay, you know what? I just couldn't do much, and a lot of times it really isn't because of you. It really is because of the circumstances that came across, and it's just sometimes it's difficult. And it's really difficult because I love to say that consulting is great, but sometimes you're just not going to get the best circumstances. It was a great project. I learned a lot, to be honest, but for my career, it didn't help me that much for advancement, or in general, like I like Workday Financials, but I don't want to stay in there. So it would have just extended my time there, but I would have left anyways. I would have stayed at Accenture though to go like product management, but if I couldn't move on to a different area, I would have left anyways. But I really thought that I was going to stay at Accenture for a long period of time, up until the point where I have to start doing sales. And you're going to start to have to do that like at management level. But that was just like one thing that I had an issue with in consulting. I hope that you don't have to fall into that issue. If you do have issues like that, really look into and say, is it worth it? Do you think you're showing next level work through this project? And if you do, over communicate, over try to compensate, try your best, try to get out of that project to go to something you actually want, or make the best out of your current situation, and then try to like enhance your profile, like something that they don't know that you've been doing. For me, I was like, oh, well, I was doing like XYZ enhancement, And to be honest, I may have like probably understated some of the impacts, and a lot of times they're just like, are you on time? But like, it was like the kind of metrics that they were focusing on was mostly on that, are you on time? How many hours? Are you doing it well kind of thing? But they're not caring about how much effort, how much energy it takes, because these ticket-based work is very focused between you and the client or whoever you're talking to for that particular ticket. The firm won't know about it until you communicate it. Your team won't really know about it until you communicate it either. But at the same time, you're kind of like between these fine lines of how much of a big deal should I make it, but at the same time, you want to be a team player. So it's like a difficult situation, and honestly you're gonna have to take it on a very day-by-day basis of like, do you enjoy it, do you like it? If you really don't like it, think about like what are the outcomes, explore everything. What I ended up doing was I reached out to everyone who left Accenture as well as transferred outside of the workday practice, as well as areas I was interested in without Accenture. And then after that I was like, okay, I'm gonna start looking internally as well as looking externally. And I kind of weighed all my options, and then the moment I knew like, okay, Google was coming, I was gonna take it. If I didn't have Google, I would have still been an Accenture, to be honest, even if I had all those offers. I would have been really curious about like, okay, can I get that process of like transferring, because I really did enjoy my time at Accenture. I really enjoyed the people. It was just that one project that I was stuck on for 1+ years really kind of threw my career off course. And at a certain point, I really wanted to vlog, but it was just the same thing over and over, just ticket-based work, and it didn't seem glamorous. I did show it at a certain point in the vlog, but it would have been the same kind of vlog the next week. So let me know what you guys think, and if you fall in the same trap in consulting. I think this may be more particularly in tech consulting, because sometimes it is like more ticket-based work. So let me know what you guys think, and yeah, thank you so much, and see you guys next time. Bye.